Even children getting the message. Back with our documentary, More Than Skin Deep, in just a moment. I'm here with Kelly Clover with the Outpacing Melanoma Foundation, Dr. Glenn Goldstein at the Dermatology and Skin Cancer Center, and Dr. Gary Doolittle at the KU Cancer Center. But Kelly, I mean, what about schools? Do you get a chance to go into schools here in the metropolitan area to spread the message about the dangers of too much sun?
Nick, we have not had that opportunity yet. I have approached one school district, and we were allowed to have a student give a presentation into the health classes for a class project. But that's something that definitely is something we'd like to do.
Is that a challenge, Dr. Goldstein?
I've spoken once before to the Kansas City, Missouri School District, where they had all the newspaper writers come in and get informed about skin cancer, and they went back to their schools and wrote articles on it, but it is a challenge for them.
Okay, we're going to go to the phones now to hear what you have to say and your questions for our panel. We go first to Christine in Independence. Welcome, Christine. Your question, please.
Hi.
Hello there.
Where can I go to get it scooped out? I don't have any insurance, and the guy I went to at the Swope place on 50 Highway in Cleveland didn't want to take it out.
Okay. If you don't have insurance and you have an issue, where would you go?
There are several free health clinics that are available, and even some of our dermatologists from our practice do that. One is in Johnson County Free Clinic. Also, Metro Med also has dermatologists that are available as well after they vet you and check you out to make sure that you don't have any insurance.
Okay. There's also the Jackson County Free Health Clinic.
Absolutely.
As this lady's out in Independence. So you can go to see a dermatologist at a free health clinic?
Yes.
Okay. Madam, you got your question answered there. You can still, even without insurance. Okay. We go now to a gentleman from Gladstone with your question next, sir.
Yes.
Hello there, madam. We're ready for you.
Oh. Yes,
Katie,
I'm calling
hello?
about Merkel cell.
Yes.
I'm calling about Merkel cell carcinoma.
And what would you like to know?
I'd like to know more about it. My brother-in-law passed away 2 years ago with it, and I'd like to know.
Okay, this is an interesting question because we focused a lot on melanoma so far, but only 5% of skin cancers are melanoma. Isn't that the case?
Yes.
So tell us about what are the other 95% of those skin cancers that people are dealing with?
Well, basal cell carcinomas represent about 80% of all of the skin cancers that are out there. 20% are represented by squamous cell carcinomas, and 1 to 5% are melanomas. And then there's those rare tumors like Merkel cell tumor that comprise less than 1% of all skin cancers that are out there.
Okay. Do you deal with that at the University of Kansas Cancer Center?
We do.
Dr. Doolittle?
We do. We deal with Merkel cell. Oftentimes, these patients present to dermatologists first, and the diagnosis is made. Sometimes there's surgery that is necessary, and if the Merkel cell spreads beyond the primary site, sometimes chemotherapy.
Okay. When we talk about melanoma, it's like, first of all, it is like, is this an automatic death sentence if somebody is told at a dermatologist's office that they have a melanoma?
Absolutely not. The prognosis for melanoma is based on the thickness of the melanoma at the time of diagnosis. So the earlier it's caught, the thinner the melanoma is, and therefore the greater the prognosis later on. And that's why we tell people when they see a mole changing or something looks unusual, get in early, because the earlier you detect it, the better your chances are going to be.
Okay.
But that being said, I think many times, oftentimes, significant, symptoms do not present themselves, and it's too late. Like in our case, I mean, how do you go from stage 0 or 1 to 4 almost overnight?
Right.
you know, it's so hard to process.
If you present with a melanoma, does that automatically then leave the hands of a dermatologist and then go into the hands of someone like Dr. Doolittle at the University of Kansas Medical Center?
You know, I would tell you, we practice together. A dermatologist and a medical oncologist work as a team. Even when patients come to me with higher stage disease, I always work with a dermatologist like Dr. Goldstein and others for that follow-up. Once you've had one melanoma, you're at risk for developing a second, and it's just really critical to work in that team manner with your dermatology colleagues.
Okay, we go next now to the phones, and Dale in Leavenworth, your question for the panel, Dale.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for the show, and thanks for the subject. I wanted to, and I'm in Liberty, but that's okay.
No, you deserve all the attention of being in Liberty.
I'm sorry?
You deserve all of the attention and recognition for being in Liberty.
I have had a melanoma removed. I've been followed by the group that's on your panel for the last 3 years. They're very diligent.
Okay, he's dropped off the line for a moment. I should point out, by the way, that this is Melanoma Awareness Month, and that's appropriate, as the month of May is when people start heading into the sun. A couple of weekends ago, on May 5th, on a more chilly Sunday morning at Corporate Woods in Overland Park, hundreds of runners took part in the second annual Outpacing Melanoma 5K run. Now, some just walked, of course, but all were there to honor those who have been lost and those who are surviving melanoma. KCPT's Todd Feedback was there.
And they're out, outpacing melanoma, step by step.
We're out here today to raise awareness and to fund research for melanoma. Outpacing melanoma is really about getting awareness out so that people understand the impact of melanoma. It really is about getting checked. You know, our slogan, "Don't delay, get checked now," is so critical.
I have had melanoma 3 times since the age of 25.
I'm a 2-time melanoma survivor. I was diagnosed in August of '97.
I was diagnosed when I was 21.
Melanoma is the most common type of cancer among 25 to 29-year-olds. And the second most common for young people 15 to 29 years old. But most of us think it only happens to other people. Have you ever considered that to everyone else in the world, you are that other person?
When you get diagnosed and you're terrified. I mean, I didn't know if I was going to live to be 22, and you're 21.
I had an older daughter that had just graduated, a son that was getting ready to graduate, and a 2-year-old. And I thought that I was done. I wasn't going to see my kids grow up.
I did tan when I was younger, just like all my friends did, and we were all just, you know, never thought it was going to happen to me. But now it's very real. I don't go out in the sun very much. If I do, I have sunscreen all over, and I reapply at least every hour, if not more. I'm very self-conscious and aware. I try and spread the awareness to everyone that I see or know.
Your chances of getting melanoma are a lot less if you just go to the doctor and get checked. Stay out of the sun, stay out of tanning booths, and that's our message.
I don't want anybody to go through what I went through. So just the thought of you're not going to see your kids grow up, you know, the thought of this is never going to happen to me, that's wrong. It's a wrong concept. It can happen to anybody.
Adam Stanislaus of the Outpacing Melanoma Foundation. You were at the race. Now you've been at the phone bank all night with our trained dermatologist. What are you hearing at the phone bank?
Nick, we're hearing a lot about tanning beds, sunscreen. When should I get checked? I have moles. What should I look for? You know, the ABCDEs. All those factors that really come down to making sure that you do get checked and that you understand and you look at your body, because it's really important. And that's really the message that's getting called in on the phones, and trying to understand that.
And we should point out these are all medical doctors that we have on the phone. These are trained dermatologists.
They are, and they also call in about sunscreen, the different types of sunscreen that you might want to apply and how to apply it and when to apply it.
Okay, I'm going to answer some of those questions with our expert panel in just a moment. This hour, as I said, you can confidentially get your own medical concerns answered by a dermatologist right here behind us at the KCPT phone bank. They're here to help you tonight. Call the top number on your screen. If you have a broader question about skin cancer you think others would like to know the answer to, we welcome you calling the bottom number to speak with our experts here in the studio. We'll get to more of your calls right after hearing from another skin cancer survivor who KCPT tracked down at the Outpacing Melanoma 5K a few weekends ago at Corporate Woods.
My name is Rachel Hagen. I'm 37 years old, and almost 4 years ago I was diagnosed with a stage 2 melanoma. I found the mole by chance. My 2-year-old son had a viral skin disorder, so I happened to be going into the dermatologist's office to get him treated, and it was in the summer, and I walked out and the dermatologist said, "There's something on your leg." And she said, "You're coming back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. to get this thing taken off." So I went back, got it taken off, go back 10 days later, the doctor comes in, the hands on the arm, and comes back that I have a stage 2 melanoma. Follow-up surgery was scheduled, and they got all of it out. I have a lovely scar to remember my saving grace by that doctor who was treating my son, and the warts that my son had on his skin obviously were the ones that ended up saving my life. And I'm now almost 4 years out of having melanoma, and I would like to just definitely tell people that, as you can tell, I've never been tan, and I'm never going to be tan, and it's okay. I have 3 kids that are 11, almost 10, and 6, and they all are skin aware, and they wear their sunscreen, they wear their hats, they're not outside during the hottest times of the day, and if they are, they're covered up. And they're telling their friends that the way we were born and the way we look is the way we're supposed to look, and to take care of our skin so we can have long, healthy lives.
And we were just hearing from Adam over at the phone bank, and a lot of the questions at the phone bank were about the sunscreens and what you should use. Tell us about what sunscreens you use yourselves. Tell us about what you use, Kelly.
You know, to be honest, I have not always been very good with the suntan lotion. That's something that in recent years, since I've lost my husband, I am now starting to pay more attention to.
But, you know, I did read the statistic, and this is from the American Association for Cancer Research. More than 1 out of 3 Americans, first of all, don't use any sunscreen, but 27% of people who were actually diagnosed with skin cancer don't use sunscreen, Dr. Goldstein. They should know better.
I believe they should know better. And what we usually tell all of our patients is they should use an SPF of at least 30, and they should look on the label to see if it says broad spectrum, because broad spectrum covers both UVA rays and UVB rays, and that's very important.
Now, what do you personally use?
I personally use an SPF of 85. Or even 100 on some occasions on my face, because my feeling is if you're making the attempt to put sunscreen on because you don't want any sun exposure, why not use the highest SPF you can?
How about you, Dr. Doolittle?
I use an SPF of 50 or higher. Okay. It's not hard for me to stay out of the sun because I burn so easily.
Yes.
I think the other message that might be conveyed is staying out of the sun from 10 to 4. If that's an option for you, you should try to avoid sun exposure.
Now, I use an SPF 200. You squirt the bottle and a sweater comes out. Just a little bit of humor on this. We're allowed to have a little bit of humor, aren't we, Kelly? Oh.
Sun protective clothing.
Absolutely. But tell us about the sun protective clothing. You're seeing a lot of that SPF clothing these days in a lot of these catalogs and other places. Are these just marketers trying to get money out of us, or do those clothing items actually work, Dr. Doolittle?
No, they're actually very effective.
They are effective?
Yes, and I encourage patients, again, with an SPF, a sunblock, but sun protective clothing, caps, and then try to stay out of the sun as best you can.
Now, there has been a dispute also about if you have a sunscreen that's above 45, you're wasting your money and it has no effectiveness.
Well, certainly any sunscreen that gets sweated off or washed off in the water isn't going to be effective. So you need to remember to reapply it every 2 hours or so after you have put it on the first time.
Okay. Now, many people blame the tanning beds, and we've heard that also from Adam at the phone bank, particularly among young people, for this explosive rise in skin cancer diagnoses. We track that issue next as we return to the documentary More Than Skin Deep. But as you're about to see, using artificial sunning devices to darken the skin is nothing new.
This man is giving his face a 6-minute exposure to Suncraft's ultraviolet rays. Next morning, he seems rather pleased with the healthy outdoor appearance created by the swelling of the capillaries under the skin. This sunburn or erythema is the first prerequisite of ultraviolet therapy. Ultraviolet rays improve the health of the skin, and a healthy skin is a beautiful skin. The reflector of the flexible Suncraft lamp may be readily detached so as to follow the motions of a wriggling infant. Today, more and more people are stepping out of the shadows, bringing the vital health-giving rays into their homes for happier and more healthful living.
I started going to tanning beds my sophomore year in high school. I went for about 3 years, and I'd go at least twice a week.
Yeah, I usually would tan the most in the spring, like when the summer's coming, because I want to be able to go to the beach and already be tan, not go to the beach and be like completely pale. So I go a lot in the spring, like especially during prom season. I used to go tanning like 3 or 4 times a week in the tanning bed.
But certainly the widespread use of tanning facilities among young people is a disaster because of the ability of these UV rays to increase the incidence of melanoma in young people.
I first discovered I had melanoma when I was 15. It was on my foot, and it was just like a small mole at the time. It was really scary. I didn't really know what to think. I mean, I was like the youngest patient that my doctor said he's ever seen, and people think that it doesn't happen until you get older, but you never know. It's ageless, really. Like, when I was in the waiting room for my checkups and even before surgery, and it was a special designated room just for skin cancer patients, and most of them are older people, and they have like huge like bandages on their faces and on their heads, and it's like half their faces are gone or are on their legs and stuff, and I'm just lucky that mine was on my foot, so it's not like noticeable. I mean, it might seem fun now when you're tan and you think you look prettier, but I mean, when you get older, it's going to be a completely different story, and you're going to look back on it and say, why did I do that? Like, I was so stupid, but it'll come back and haunt you.
Miss Annapolis, Laura Kelly, your new Miss Maryland, Miss Tidewater, Brittany Leeds.
You might say I was the envy of a lot of young women when I was crowned Miss Maryland. At the age of 20, I was diagnosed with stage 2 melanoma. Looking back, I now know how I got melanoma. I didn't have to tan, I chose to, and I nearly paid with my life. Since then, I have had 24 additional surgeries to remove suspicious lesions. I am left with an 8-inch scar across my back and the constant reminder of why I must teach people about this disease and how to prevent it.
How many of you go every day? There you go, that was me.
A lot of teenagers and even adults look to Hollywood, to movie stars and models and fashion icons for how they want to look, how beautiful they want to be. And it's funny to me how we're going into these tanning salons to try to achieve that tan that's going to make us look beautiful. And the people that we're admiring and looking up to and trying to be are doing the complete opposite.
Is it more damaging to your health to use an indoor tanning bed than to actually sunbathe at the pool?
Absolutely, because you're getting such a high concentration of ultraviolet light in such a short period of time.
Dr. Doolittle, I mean, there are some states that are now regulating the use of tanning beds. What about in Kansas and Missouri?
Right. In Kansas right now, the regulation for tanning beds falls with the Board of Cosmetology. There has been some legislation in the last couple of years looking at restricting tanning for teens, 17 and younger, but it hasn't. That law has not been passed. Missouri now has a law. The House passed for parental consent for 17-year-old children or younger, but it hasn't gone through the Senate yet. So there's a level of awareness that exists now that hasn't in past years, and that's encouraging.
Some people, though, will say, oh, well, if you use a spray tan, there are chemicals in spray tans that also could be damaging to your health. Dr. Goldstein?
I don't think so, because the spray tans are pretty much a colored sugar. And basically when they spray it on your skin, it stains your skin, and that's why it sloughs off as the skin sloughs over the next several days afterwards. But it can look very natural and certainly so much healthier than getting into an indoor tanning salon or booth.
Okay. We're now going to go back to the phones, and we're going to go to Nancy in Olathe. Nancy, thank you for being so patient on our phone lines. Your question for our panel, please. Alrighty, we're not going to go to Nancy. How about Margaret in Overland Park? Are you with us, Margaret? Okay, we're not going to worry about those right this moment in time. What about race and skin cancer? Do you see patients who are Hispanics and African Americans who also have skin cancer? How does that play out?
We do see some who are Hispanic and African Americans, but the truth is that we see more of it in patients who have fairer skin and burn easier. Those people who freckle very quickly, who burn very easy, are the ones who are most susceptible to getting skin cancer. In darker skinned people, it'll be on the lighter areas of their skin.
Dr. Doolittle?
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Goldstein. We do still see melanoma in the African American population, the Hispanic population. The incidence is much less, but the challenge in that group is they're often diagnosed at higher stages, and the treatment is more challenging because of that.
Okay. Well, next on our documentary, More Than Skin Deep, we actually track the issue of race and skin cancer. And you may be surprised how melanoma actually cuts across those ethnic groups.
While children and the fair-skinned may be most at risk, melanoma can target any ethnic group.
In terms of Asian Americans, African Americans, and Latino Americans, melanoma is much less likely. However, it can be more deadly because it's able to be developed in many cases undetected. And many times those are further along because they've been misdiagnosed. Let's take Bob Marley, for example, who graced the world with his music. He is an avid soccer player down in Jamaica, up in the States, and he was actually misdiagnosed by some of the West Indian doctors. They thought it was a soccer bruise. He had a dark streak underneath his toenail. And African Americans and Asian Americans in particular will get acrolentiginous melanomas, where you see them more kind of underneath the fingernails, underneath the toenails. Unfortunately, Bob Marley, by the time that they properly diagnosed it, the melanoma that was under his toenail spread to his brain and his liver, and he wound up dying from metastases from the melanoma. It was just very unfortunate.
My name is Jacqueline Smith. I was diagnosed with melanoma at age 28. I had a lump in my bikini line on the right side. I went to my primary care physician and I saw his physician assistant initially, and she told me that it was probably from some sort of infection and gave me antibiotics. I also saw the nurse practitioner there, and she gave me more antibiotics. And then when I went to school, I saw a doctor, a physician, and she gave me more antibiotics. And she's the one who told me, if it doesn't bother me, don't bother it. So I didn't really believe that there was nothing wrong, but since I'd had so many medical professionals tell me that it was nothing, I began to believe that. I was almost instantly devastated, but I was also in shock because I didn't have a mole, and in school we learned that you get melanomas from a mole and that it's got atypical borders and it bleeds. So I was confused because this was something that was internal. The first surgeon wanted to do an operation where he wanted to take out all of my organs, and he wanted to explore, he said. And I was really nervous because where he said he would cut me was nowhere near where this lump was, so I didn't understand how he was going to help me. Out of the 16 lymph nodes they removed, I had melanoma in 5. So following that, I was told I would need to have interferon therapy as well as radiation. It's been a year and 2 months since I was diagnosed with stage 3 melanoma. I had my PET scan and it came back completely clear, so that means that it did not detect any cancer cells anywhere within my body. My number one piece of advice for everyone is, if there's something that you think is wrong, and even the doctors don't think it's an abnormality, to just be diligent. Harass them if you must. That has become one of the things that's one of my traits that I'm now proud of, that, you know, I have no shame. I will keep sending emails. I'll keep making appointments, because if I didn't do that, then I might not be here. And that's only because I followed my own heart.
Kelly Clover, you have to be then, as we just heard from that wonderful lady, be empowered about your own health care.
Yes. Yes, you know, we need to be our own best advocates. We need to get in and be seen, and you know, if I just felt like if this can happen to us, I mean, it can happen to anyone, and that's why, you know, in the fall of 2011, we created the Outpacing Melanoma Foundation, and to honor my husband's memory and to bring awareness to this cancer that is both misunderstood and underestimated.
Absolutely. We have a lot of people still on the line. Margaret from Prairie Village, thanks for your patience. What's your question for the panel, Margaret?
Yes, great show.
Thank you.
My question is, if you develop a melanoma, a skin melanoma, in an odd place, like the woman at the toe, or, you know, say it's not a high sun area, does that mean you were exposed to the sun at that location, or could you have been exposed anywhere on your body and it showed up at that location?
Do you have an answer to that question, Dr. Goldstein?
That's a very good question, Margaret. What I would tell you is that not all melanomas occur in sun-exposed areas, that they can occur on any location in the body, so we all need to be vigilant for any type of pigmented lesion that pops up that looks atypical.
How can that be, though, Dr. Doolittle? You would expect, you know, if this is a sun-related condition, that it would show up there.
Yeah, and Nick, the only thing I can tell you is we don't have a full understanding of that piece. That we do know that most melanomas are from the skin, 85% of the time, 15% of the time they're internal, and we don't have a full understanding.
Yeah, and we just heard from the patient just a few moments ago, the girl saying they were probing in parts of her body where there were nothing to do, no part of the body that she thought was affected. David in South Kansas City is on the line. David, thanks for your patience. What's your question?
Well, I'm 79 years old, and I grew up in Platte County, and I did farm labor as a young kid, and I have been in the hospital with sunburn, and I've had a basal cell carcinoma taken off of my cheek about 3 years ago. I go to the VA and they check me 2 or 3 times a year, pretty well from head to toe. I was just wondering, if I haven't had a carcinoma, if I am still subject to maybe the possibility, or the possibility has diminished through the years.
Good question. Well, and the answer to that is what?
Well, I would say you can develop skin cancer at any age, but once you've had one skin cancer, you're at a higher risk of developing another. Usually 30% of patients who develop one skin cancer get another one within a year, and because it's all a cumulative sun exposure.
You know, it's like watching this program, and I have not been to a dermatologist, and I could say, okay, I'm going to go to the dermatologist's office and I could get checked, and then I can pat myself on the back for a job well done. But I have to come back, right? How often are you supposed to get checked? Kelly?
Well, I think at least every 1 or 2 years, but I think if you know, if you have more moles on your body, or if you have a history, like, you know, where my husband had melanoma, my children could be at higher risk.
Yes. Okay.
And so, you know, you want to take those precautions and you know, maybe get in every 6 months.
If I came to your office right now and I came, how often would you expect me to come back and see you, Dr. Goldstein?
Well, depending on what we would find. If we didn't see anything suspicious, we may tell you to come back in 1 or 2 years. If we found a number of lesions that we thought were concerning, we'd probably have you come back at least twice a year or more often, depending on what we find.
Okay. We go to Bill in the Lenexa. Bill, thank you for being on the line with us. Your question, please.
Yes, I've had Mohs surgery, but I was told also that even though you may be at the beach and under an umbrella, that you still can receive damage from rays that are reflected by the sand. Is that true, and is that serious? And I'll hang up and listen for your answer.
Thank you very much. Is that true, Gary Doolittle?
That is true, and also the issue of reflection from the water if you're out boating, and that's why it's just so important. Again, the message: sunblock, sun protective clothing. Try to avoid the sun during peak hours.
Okay. We go next to Blaze in Kansas City. Blaze, your question, please.
Yes, I have dealt with seasonal affect disorder for a number of years, and I was wondering if I use a light in my home that's the same as sunlight, does that also give me some risk for exposure and developing carcinomas or melanoma potentially?
Okay, good question. Does it?
Be the same as sunlight?
The question was whether or not indoor lights are similar to the sun. They can be, depending on the type of bulbs that you're using.
Okay. Well, that is all we have time for there. Any final comments and final reminders for our viewers, Dr. Doolittle?
Don't delay, get checked today.
Dr. Goldstein?
I would say examine your birthday suit on your birthday. So get in every year and have your skin looked at.
I don't know where to look. Okay, Kelly Clover.
You know, I just want people to know that melanoma needs to be taken seriously. It just, you know, too many people think that, oh, if it can be cured, they take that risk. They go to, you know, to get that tan. And, you know, it's just, there's no guarantee. I mean,
well, Mr. 44-year-old pale-skinned man from Great Britain vows to go to the dermatologist as a result of this program for the very first time. That is all we have time for. Our thanks to our guest, Kelly Clover, founder and president of the Outpacing Melanoma Foundation, dermatologist Glenn Goldstein, director of the Dermatology and Skin Cancer Center in Leawood, and Dr. Gary Doolittle, who specializes in melanoma and second opinions in cancer at the University of Kansas Cancer Center. I want you to know you can continue to call our dermatologists at the KCPT phone bank. They'll stay here for a while longer so they can make sure your questions are answered. Our thanks to Z Films, producers of More Than Skin Deep. Learn more at morethanskindeep.org. We've pulled together a lot of resources on how to prevent and diagnose skin cancer, along with the resources mentioned on this program. Check them out for yourself at thelocalshow.org. I'm Nick Haynes. From all of us here at KCPT, good night.
Partial funding for this program was provided by the University of South Florida.
Principal funding for The Local Show provided by Francis Family Foundation, Frederick and Louise Hartwig Family Fund, Kaufman Foundation, Healthcare Foundation of Greater Kansas City, Johnson County Community College, John and Effie Spees Memorial Trust, Bank of America trustee, Richard J. Stern Foundation for the Arts, Commerce Bank trustee, and KCPT members. Thank you.